Hello and welcome to Stray Thoughts. I'm NantenJex, and today we're going to be talking Fire Emblem, the Fire Emblem Direct. Now, Stray Thoughts is something new that we're going to do. It's a bit like a discussion, but it's just me, just talking to you. So I'm going to give my thoughts on what I expect to see coming up this week, like what's likely, looking at all the facts and trying to give an impression. Now, the reason it's just me is because out of all the team members who do videos, I'm really the only one who knows or enjoys anything about the Fire Emblem series. No one was willing to do it, and we looked for some special guests, but on such short notice it was a bit difficult, especially with different time zones and everything. But we wanted to produce something, and so that's what we're doing here. So let's start with the most obvious one first, and that's Fire Emblem Warriors. It was just shown off last week in the Nintendo Switch blowout event, and I think pretty much everyone expects it to be shown off here, and I think that's probably likely. So in the teaser we got, I know a lot of people have been saying that it looks very early, like that's why all we got was a shot of Crom's hand, and that was about it, and the Fire Emblem. But I actually disagree, mainly because of when Hyrule Warriors was first announced. They showed it off in December 2013, and we got a full proper trailer, and that was clearly a very rough trailer. Like, Link looked okay, but there was beta models for Lana, Zelda was in her Twilight Princess design, a lot of the enemies were ripped straight from Skyward Sword. It was clearly very basic. We didn't even have a logo in the English version of the trailer. Like, it just came up with generic text. Yet, that game was shown off fully like that, and came out 8 months later in Japan, in August of 2014. Like, it came out very quickly, and even though all we saw was a bit of a shot of Crom's hand, it looked much more polished than anything in that Zelda trailer did. So I don't think it was, like, too early in development to show anything proper. They actually gave us a logo. I think rather they knew they had this direct planned and coming up, so it made more sense to wait till now to give us a proper look at the game. There's no point in showing off a lot of the game and then doing the exact same thing about 6 days later. So they were just holding off things. So what might we actually see? Well, we'll get a proper trailer. We'll actually see Crom in action, get a bit of an idea of how this game is going to play out, how different it's going to be from other Warriors games. We might get some idea of what Fire Emblem staples might be stuck in. Like the Zelda, they confirmed in Hyrule Warriors that they looked at a lot of Zelda staples and tried to figure out what would work in the Dynasty Warriors and what wouldn't. I don't think we'll get like everything, obviously. They're going to want to pace this out until release. We probably won't get a release. If it is coming out in 2017, I think they'll confirm it at this Direct. But it might not. Like, we'll see. But I think that we'll get little bits. We'll get a trailer of Crom. We'll probably get some other characters shown off as well. So in the actual teaser, we saw the swords of Marth, Crom, Corrin, Xander, and Ryoma. Both of the Falchions, Corrin's Yato, Xander's Siegfried, and Ryoma's Raijinto. So that covered 3 games, Mystery of the Emblem, Awakening, and Fates. The 2 latest games in the original game make sense. I did a whole article on Source Gaming about Fire Emblem Warriors, and if you want to be interested and have a look at that, I'll leave a link in the description below. In that very article, I said specifically we'd probably only see those 3 games be represented. Maybe we'll get a 4th game in the DLC. And I think I'm still sticking to this. I still think we'll only get those 3. I would expect a base roster similar to that of Hyrule Warriors when it first launched, about 12-13 characters. And so it makes more sense if you don't just want the main lord of every game to stick with that one. I was obviously, for those who have read the article, you know I was a bit wrong because I didn't expect Crom. I expected Lucina and Marth, and I thought Crom would be a bit too similar to those 2. But, you know, maybe not. Maybe they're going to go the more Ike route and have him be more of a bruiser than an elegant fighter. We'll hopefully see in this trailer, and I think we'll get probably Marth, maybe Corrin. I did think that maybe now we would hear about the Corrin amiibo again. I know it's part of the Smash Brothers line, but it is Fire Emblem related. I don't think they're going to announce a set of Fire Emblem amiibo, but if there's any time to talk about Corrin, it may as well be now. I mean, we've heard rumours about the Bayonetta and Cloud amiibo, but no one seems to have heard anything about the Corrin amiibo. And it could be possible that this is why, like, the Corrin amiibo was being held off specifically for Fire Emblem Warriors and might come out alongside it later on this year. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think that Fire Emblem Warriors is certainly the main point to get across. Now, I just want to quickly talk about the possibility of a new Fire Emblem game. So, I've seen some people throw that idea around, and it is possible. Intelligent System are very clearly working on a new Fire Emblem right now. It's their big money maker, so there's no way that they're not. So, I looked it up, and Fire Emblem Fates launched in Japan on June 2015, and Awakening launched in April 2012. So that's 3 years development cycle that Fates had at least. So obviously since then, 2017, it's only been 2 years since Fates. And Fates specifically was done on the same system that Awakening was, and used an improved version of the Awakening engine. But Fates was also 2 whole games, or 3 even if you count the DLC one. Like 3 full content games with like the same amount of content that a regular game would have. So it's not like they just took one game and split it up. So it could be that the development on Fates was much longer than the regular Fire Emblem and how it could be. I think that is probably true. We don't know. They could do 2 games again for the Switch. That could be now the current trend for Fire Emblem. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping they just do the single game. It was also that the Switch is a new system and it's in HD. They're going to have to get used to it. They're going to have to make a Fire Emblem game in HD, and that's going to take longer. So it might be that could be a reason why it's not ready. So there's a lot of things to consider here, but I don't think it's entirely impossible. For example, they could be remaking a past game. If they remake a previous game, then they don't have to worry about coming up with characters or story or anything like that. That's already done. It's just a matter of making the game. Or it could even be something like a HD port/remake of one of the other console games, specifically thinking Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. Both of those had HD models and stuff to do. Both of them are part of some saga. They could release them together as a compilation pack for the Switch. Call it like the Fire Emblem The Radiant Saga. Be pretty easy to do. They could add some couple new features, some smaller ones, but it'd be a bit like Wind Waker HD, but for Fire Emblem. And if they do that, that could easily come out this year. So we could get something like that. Now, the big thing about this though is, when will it come out if they announce a new Fire Emblem? Because it's easy to say, they could announce it now, it'll come out in 2018. But that's not how they've done it in the past. Awakening was announced at TGS in September 2011 and launched about 6 months later, 7 months in April 2012. And Fates had pretty much the same thing. Fates was announced in January 2015 and launched in Japan in June 2015. So the same year and about 6 months later. So if it's announced now, we should be expecting the same thing. If it's going to be announced now in this Direct, then we should be expecting Fire Emblem for a summer 2017 release. And that would only have given them 2 years of development time, like I said earlier. So I feel like that's too short for it to really be revealed, unless it is a remake or a port. That's just something that I wanted to stress out. I think it's minor chance that we'll see something, because again, why not show it off last week at the Switch event? Like, surely a brand new Fire Emblem game will create more buzz than a new Warriors game. Granted, they might have chosen the Warriors one to show off that they got more third-party support. Hyrule Warriors was very successful, so to show off that another IP has been given the same treatment might also have been a bigger reason, because I think everyone knows that a new Fire Emblem game is being made, but no one knew that this Warriors Fire Emblem game was being made, so that might be why it was chosen. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, so now onto the big one, right? So everyone, apart from Fire Emblem Warriors, is expecting the Fire Emblem mobile game to be talked about in this Direct. I think it's probably true as well. So they haven't traditionally talked about mobile phone games in Nintendo Direct, and I think that's something to consider here as well. Usually it's in an investors meeting, or in the case of Super Mario Run, it was during the Apple presentation. But with Fire Emblem, it's scheduled for 2017, and it's very likely that it'll come out before the Switch. Well, actually, I say very likely. I think that's what Nintendo would kind of want to try and do, to get something out, because they don't actually, apart from Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World, they don't really have anything coming out from now until the Switch. And a mobile game might be able to fill that blank, especially because this is a game that did get announced nearly almost a year ago. And we know it's coming along quite nicely. Miitomo had images, background art and stuff from the game in its files, which people have found. So it's just a matter of when they will talk about it, and a Fire Emblem Direct seems like the perfect place to do it. There's no investors meeting coming up, so they're not going to talk about it then. So hopefully, yeah, we'll get Fire Emblem Mobile information, possibly a release date. It might not come out before the Switch. That was more just speculation on my part. But I think once the Switch is out, they're going to want that to be the focus. So for me, it makes more sense to get it out like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something just before the Switch to tide people over. So what I will see from this mobile game, a trailer, and actually telling us what it is, that's where I think this Direct will come into play. Warriors, they can just show a trailer off. A new Fire Emblem game, if they do reveal it, will probably just be a trailer as well. But the mobile game's going to need explaining. We're going to need to know what it is and what's special about it, and that might be why we're getting a proper Direct for this, so that the developers can sit down and show us this game and walk us through parts of this game. That makes sense to me. So I'm thinking that's going to be the primary focus, with bits of Warriors and possibly a new Fire Emblem announced right at the very end. So that's about it for my stray thoughts on this, but just wanted to touch on one thing very briefly about just generally Nintendo Directs. People worried that they would be gone, and that this is Nintendo's new presentation style would be like the Switch event, and then like do that in January, then E3, and then yeah, you got the two big events to do below information. Everything else will be done by social media, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Directs are still a thing, and Nintendo also talked about that in the 6 weeks coming from that presentation and the Switch's launch, they would be dropping us bits of information, and I'm hoping they keep this up at a weekly basis. This Direct has come out right after the Switch event, and I don't expect another Direct to be like next week, for example, but they could announce a new game on social media next week, or have a like treehouse segment or a quick video, an overview trailer of one of the other launch games or one of the other games that they talked about. Or just I want information like this coming at a weekly basis, and I hope this Fire Emblem Direct is the start of something really special. So yeah, I think that is about it. These are my stray thoughts, my ramblings on this, completely unscripted. So I don't know how it's going to turn out. Hopefully it's fine. Alright guys, so if you liked this video, then please give us a like, leave a comment down in below telling me what you want to see at this Fire Emblem presentation, what you think of my thoughts. Subscribe if you haven't already, and follow us at All Source Gaming on Twitter, or follow me at Mr. Nintendo on Twitter. I'll leave links to both of those below. Our website is sourcegaming.info, where we have daily posts, and we've been covering a lot of Switch content recently. So if that's stuff you're into, then make sure you check that. We'll definitely be getting a Switch at launch, so we're going to have plenty of coverage over the next 6 weeks and beyond. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and have a nice day.